Really impressive for them, as he mentioned. Writing in their home, and then 6 weeks later they're in this professional studio with Eric Clapton's bass player Dave Brahms and Tobias Boshell of the Moody Blues. Pip Williams, of course, was he was a guitarist on the Walker Brothers track, No Regrets. I think he's back there. We can check and see if we have the phone connection now. It looks like he's back online, but they actually went on national tours with that band across the UK until they finally disbanded. Let me see. Neil, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened there.
Okay, there we are. We lost the connection somewhere along the line, but I was just going over what you were telling us, and actually enjoying the amazement of the fact of going from writing in the confines of your own home to all of a sudden being in the studio with these real heavyweights. Yeah. Now, you and B, you do the songwriting, and she's the lead vocalist. How long have you two been together?
We've been together now for about 15 years, I think.
Okay, so you got to know each other.
Oh, well, we're an item as well.
Well,
I was certainly hoping to know each other.
I'm not surprised, but I mean, you've gotten to know each other on the creative level as well, to where you can can work together and you get an idea of what to do to accent each other's ideas. Yeah. Okay. All right. Tell us a little bit about where. Go ahead. You go ahead.
When we weren't an item first for the first couple of years. B answered an advert when we were looking for singers and everything, and she was in the band for a couple of years before we actually started going out. So we've got a really good understanding of how each other work now, and we've actually got our own studio where we do our stuff in our home as well now.
So it's a little more involved in just sitting around at the table or on the bed at night before you go to sleep and just jotting down notes and stuff. You got yourself in the groove. Well, I'll tell you what. Right. People are going to love this Big Blue World Cut when we play it. Now, that was released back at the end of June, and I understand from what I've heard that there is a reason that there aren't a lot of pictures of you two out on your promotion stuff. I noticed the Big Blue World has that beautiful blue logo picture. Tell us a little bit about why there aren't pictures of you two.
Well, one of the reasons was one of the things that we found very hard to live with was that when we signed the record deal, it really drove us mad all about the image thing, especially for B, being the only female in the band. She was put under such close scrutiny, and we had to do photo shoots, which I just hated them. So we decided, we've always admired people like bands like Tintin Out and Talk and bands like that, who are really pretty much faceless in a way, but they produce really good music, and hopefully that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I was told that, and that's why I asked, I was told that one of your reasons for that was the fact that you wanted to put the emphasis on the music rather than on yourselves, and that's an interesting it's an interesting perspective for someone in your position. There's so many artists out there that they really want that spotlight on them, and I think in some ways they do themselves a disservice because it takes away. It's one thing to accent the product, and another thing to accent the means of getting that product out there. So it's an interesting perspective, and it puts you into the position of being a studio act. Like you mentioned in your bio, Tintin Out and Talk. And that's a good thing because there's more concentration on the music. Now the other side of that coin is you better pretty well produce some good music because the focus is on the music, on the product, not on you two. So it doesn't matter if you're beautiful people or not. It's what you put out there, and I think I think Big Blue World is a good example that you are succeeding in that. Before we let you go, John Bon Jovial, did you want to get in here with a question for Neil?
Well, I don't know if it's a question so much as a statement. One of my favorite songs that you hardly ever hear on the radio anymore, you mentioned, and that, of course, being Kiki Dee, and I've Got the Music in Me, which is such a powerful piece of music.
Yeah.
And and I, in listening to, I didn't put two and two together while I was listening to Girl in a Gilded Cage. But now that I know that, and now that I know that you're working in association with the gentleman that wrote that song, I can definitely, looking back at it in retrospect now, I can hear the influence on there. And I think you have the music in you. Good on you.
Oh. Thanks for that. Yeah, we tried to do like one thing we liked about Pat was like the high energy recordings. I mean, especially that Walking on Sunshine, which has been like an international hit, hasn't it, all around the world. And that's why we wanted to work with him. And I think the important thing is he gets us and we get him. And I think that's the most important thing.
It definitely helps. You've got to be together, as we were discussing earlier, you and Dee getting to know each other and to be able to feel where you're coming from and what you're trying to get across. Before we let you go, I want to tell you, as I do all of our guests, once you're on the show, you're part of our family. We're always here for you. We'll help you promote your music, your tours, or whatever. Have a page on Facebook. Just check out The David Bowers Awards, and feel free to post anything to do with your music and careers there. That's what the page is there for. I put it up specifically so my guests have one more place where they can spread the word. Speaking of spreading the word, tell the folks real quick where they can find you online.
On all download portals. We're with a French label, actually. It's a bit of a weird one, but they're putting our stuff out. WCPL, Big Blue World is out now, the single, which is taken from the album of the same name. Girl in the Gilded Cage, I've just found out today, is going to be the next single that's going to be released. Yeah, and in the fall, we've got another album that we did with Pat called The Girl Who Shouted Love at the Heart of the World, which will be released through the French people again. So, yeah, we've got a lot going on, and as you said, the critical reaction to it has been absolutely brilliant. I couldn't have written better myself, to be quite honest.
Fantastic. We thank you so much for coming in and sharing your music and your story with us today. We do look forward to hearing from you and having you come back and see us in the future. Give our love to Dee and to B, and hey, best to both of you. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Neil.
Fitzsimon and Brogan. This is Big Blue World. Or as someone else once said, love is all we need. Where have I heard that before? Somewhere. Hey, there you go. They call themselves Fitzsimon and Brogan. And nice sound. Really like that Big Blue World. What a great show. We had a good time today after a rather shaky and scary start with music coming into my earphones from, we still haven't figured out the source, but hey, we're done. We got through another show. We'll be back again next week with more guests, more new indie music. John Bon Jovial, I think it's time for you to take us home.
Yeah, well, you've wasted another perfectly good hour with the David Bowers and the legendary John Bon Jovial, and we thank you so much for doing that because, well, without you guys, where would we be? Well, we'd still be here, but you wouldn't know about it. So, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us this week. The David Bowers Awards is broadcast around the world from the studios of Computer Help USA in beautiful Naples, Florida, and from the Valley of the Sun in Tempe, Arizona. We are available absolutely free on Blog Talk Radio and also on YouTube, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker, Amazon Alexa devices, as well as SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and some of these other silly musical platforms that exist out there on the Internet. Be sure to click the follow link on our Blog Talk Radio page and like The David Bowers on Facebook and follow us on Twitter as well, if you would. We'd really appreciate that. Join us next week, if you will, for the David Bowers Awards, Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on WRFZ FM 106.3. That is Rochester Free Radio. And on Blog Talk Radio, Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time for all of you international bon vivants out there. For more great indie music and talk with the artists that make it happen. So until next week, for the David Bowers, Nick the Geek, our wonderful engineer, Hopalong Sarcassity, who really spoke entirely too much today, and all of our crew of rejects here at the barn, this is the legendary John Bon Jovial saying thank you very much for being with us. We really appreciate it. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next week right here on the David Bowers Awards.